Bună dimineața și bun găsit la ABIU. Sunt Sabina Iosub și vă mulțumesc că sunteți alături de mine și astăzi pentru o emisiune extrem de importantă. O să vorbim despre ceea ce înseamnă dezvoltarea regională și celebrele fonduri de coeziune. Iată despre ce este vorba.
Vești foarte bune au venit zilele acestea în privința fondurilor europene pe care România le poate accesa.
O veste bună, dacă aveți în premieră deblocarea 600 de milioane de euro pe fonduri de infrastructură și de mediu, acum.
Adică din acest moment?
Adică, da, săptămâna aceasta vor deveni la sfârșitul săptămânii disponibili efectiv. Dar explicăm ceea ce se întâmplă și ceea ce facem, fiindcă toată lumea ne acuză că avem o problemă cu fondurile europene și noi nu am comunicat poate suficient că în ianuarie am găsit țara asta fără niciun fel de autoritate de management validat. Practic am început să intrăm cu procedurile în rezolvare și de asta vă spun că primele 6 de milioane încep să vină, că au început să vină primele autorități de management confirmate. Repet, 6 de milioane vor intra în țară imediat.
Problema spitalelor regionale și autostrăzilor, că știți, România asta întreabă când o să avem și noi spitale ca în Europa, când o să avem autostrăzi ca în Europa, se rezolvă prin deblocarea aceasta de care mi-ați vorbit?
În primul rând, legat de spitalele regionale, aceasta e cea mai bună veste și este normal ca pe cetățeni să intereseze acest lucru. Studiile de fezabilitate vor fi gata prin luna septembrie. Ele sunt făcute de către Banca Europeană de Investiții, potrivit unui acord de colaborare între Guvern și Banca Europeană de Investiții, deci avem garanția că vor fi proiecte bine făcute, proiecte mature, iar apoi va urma procesul licitațiilor. Ceea ce i-am recomandat primului ministru a fost să facem tot ce ne stă în putere pentru ca cele 3 spitale regionale la Cluj, Iași și Craiova să înceapă efectiv construcțiile în 2018 pentru a nu pierde banii alocați.
În total, 5,2 miliarde de euro ar trebui să ajungă în țara noastră pentru dezvoltare. Acești bani sunt disponibili. Trebuie ca noi să ne facem treaba să-i putem aduce efectiv în țară.
Today here with me in the European Parliament are Liliana Rodriguez from Portugal. Thank you so much. And Victor Boștinaru from Romania. Thank you so much for your presence.
Thank you very much indeed.
We have a debate regarding the cohesion policy, the regional funds. As we say in Romania, let's see how exactly can we do things in order to help our countries, because we know that there are some countries that don't want the cohesion policy that is in development right now.
Well, in fact, I think that cohesion policy will stay for the next years. I hope so. But in general, all the countries from the European Union, we are united of the efficiency of cohesion policy. It's the best instrument and one of the most successful instruments of the European Union. And of course, in the Regi Committee, we have a compromise to be sure that all the money will be well spent. And in fact, in almost of the countries, it has happened. It has been well spent. And at this moment, our concern was, in the last month, it was about the catastrophes funds. It was approved with a large majority. It's a very good news for all the countries, especially for my country, that now it's passing to a very difficult situation. We will have 90% of the reconstruction of all the disasters that is happening now in Portugal with European money. So it's very important for people in Europe to understand how important is European Union for all of them, not only for my country, because if you are in need in Romania, of course, we will help you too.
Do we understand this in Romania? Do we use the funds as we should do?
If we do understand, probably we do. If we do care about the way to implement the projects and to absorb not only quantitatively but equally in a qualitative manner the funds, not yet. And Romania, it is in a deja vu situation, very much lagging behind till 2012, then a tremendous progress 2013, 2014, 2015, and then stagnation, and nothing happened during the so-called 000 government Cioloș. Now we are in the situation, the managing authorities to be accredited in these very days. When speaking, the Commission have to decide on accrediting the Romanian managing authorities and immediately then to start implementing the new financial framework, the new projects. And there are good reasons to see that for 2017 we may absorb at least 5 points in absolute terms, which is a lot, knowing that we start, as I told, when speaking from zero, but probably we have to pay attention to the way we prepare all actors involved in order to guarantee that we will not lose again money like we did it before.
Give me the example of Portugal. How did you manage to use the funds that are coming from this area?
In case of Portugal, we are one of the best countries making the execution of the European funds. We have institutes who control the program and the money, of course. And then you have people who put the projects and they approve or not. I've been in Romania last year for a mission, and we were very surprised and very well surprised about the way they were using European money. Of course, you feel some difficulties in execution of the programs, of the projects, sorry, but you can ask for European Commission help for it. European Commission can put a team on the field in 5 days. So when countries feel that they have some difficulties, they can ask for help. Portugal, we have done it, and we have, of course, we have trained a lot of people to make the projects. That's very important. The time, when is the timetable for the project, it's very important to be sure that you have expertise people doing it, because you can lose the money.
Do this take time? Did you need a lot of time to train your people to make the mechanism work, or is it done like that?
Of course not. You need a lot of time. I can speak by my experience. I am professor at Madeira University, and I was responsible for some European programs using social funds, European funds. And for example, I remember that one of the projects, I took something like 2 months only to prepare the first draft of the projects. And then it took 2 more months to present the program to European Union, and it was approved.
Okay, so first we need time, then we need the people well trained to do the job. When do we'll have this in Romania?
Romania is still missing what in the European jargon it's called administrative and institutional capacity, because in the end it's not only about to have well-trained people, people which are capable of designing good projects, but equal institutions to interact among themselves in order to guarantee that once implementing a project, this project will equally have a positive impact on the horizontal level by aggregating positive effects and expanding it to the whole region. This is the difference between Romania, where it's still a poor administrative and institutional capacity, and a country like Portugal. And I can only confess today to Liliana, when I visited first Portugal and I seen how they dramatically and positively transformed the country, including in your region in Madeira, they did miracles. They did miracles from highways and railroads to rejuvenating and rehabilitating large towns like Lisbon. Yeah. And this have been done only and only with EU funds. If Romanians wants to see the way you can absorb in a smart and positive way the EU funds, go to Portugal and to see the difference, because in comparison to other countries, they not only absorbed the money, but they did create new jobs opportunities, that did create new facilities and new potential for research and development, And this is something we Romanians, we have to pay attention to it, because in the end it's not only about how much money I have absorbed, but how much transformation and how much benefits for the communities, for the people, the absorption have produced. And this is still unanswered question for the Romanian authorities. And what is tragically for Romania, completely tragically, is the fact that while asking technical assistance from the Commission side, as Liliana have mentioned before, we still miss the opportunity to build up stable human capacities, be it private or public resources, in terms of consulting companies, in terms of institutions, to design projects in a sophisticated manner, except something you will remember definitely, Danube's Delta.
Of course, beautiful.
And I will never stop selling this project. Sabina, into the Delta, they managed to transfer the managing authority to the Biosphera Reservation, Danube's Delta, and the aggregated amount of money coming out from 7 funds, total today 1.2 billion euros, is by far the largest project with the so-called integrated approach and multi-fund financing. So it is an example. We can do big, good things, but sometimes, so many times, we fail to do those which are much smaller, but are the ones to be seen and touched by the people.
When discussing about the future of the cohesion policy, one should look, I guess, at all the countries. See the good examples, like Portugal.
And the bad examples too.
And the bad examples
Not
too,
to do
like,
it.
unfortunately, it's hard for me to say, Romania, in terms of accessing the funds, of using the funds coming from the European Union. Having this in mind, what do you think will happen with this type of projects, with this type of policies?
Well, I would like to think one thing. The difficulties that you feel in Romania, we also feel in Portugal, of course. I think that the difference, the way we treat the problem, I think it's that the way. I usually say that if you look for the map of European Union, if you double, Romania will touch in Portugal. Mm-hmm. So we are very close in difficulties. And I think that the most important thing that we have done in Portugal was a real reflection. The first question is, what do I need for my region? Why I want this project and not another? And I think that you should ask too, do I have capacity to build it, to do it? And of course, this is a SWOT analysis, of course, but the most important is, will it have a real impact in people's life? And maybe people should do in Romania, in small regions perhaps, this kind of reflection. I'm from a very small region in Portugal. I came from Madeira. It's
but very well known.
It's a very ultra-peripheric region. And that was a reflection that we made. Of course, you will say, well, this project I think is not the best one. We should do that one. Maybe the parties will not always agree on which project we should make our point of view. But I think that in some countries that is missing. Before we do the projects, before we ask for the money, why we want this?
When talking about SWOT analysis, we know strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. This means coming from inside. On one hand, let's say, what are in my country the problems, let's say, and looking at the European level, what are the opportunities and threats for my country or for every single project. Do we do this in Romania, Mr. Boștinaru? Do we actually do it?
Probably partially. Partially. The maximum, it's partially. In some areas...
Just 1 second. Imagine a SWOT partially made.
We are doing partially because in some areas there are both the strategical planning, the capacity not only to put on the paper several projects, but to choose out of all 5, 6, 7, what is the best? What does have the most important strategical impact? Like the amazing research projects we visited in Bucharest, Babeș Hospital and Eli project. They were astonished to see what Romanians can do in this area. And by the way, Eli is advancing very well. The second, which never happened till today, it's this lack of capacity to understand how to put together different pieces of the puzzle, because it's not only one community, one region, but what can cross one region and can have a potential impact on the other region, like highways, railroads. This cannot only be designed for one single region. You have to see to the whole map. And Romania does miss this strategical dimension when looking to the dramatic situation of eastern side of Romania, where we have dramatic poverty, dramatic lack of jobs, and dramatic lack of hope and horizon. And this is exactly where the European cohesion policy should be instrumentalized, should be used to show that solidarity is not only good in the electoral campaign or when speaking here in the parliament in Brussels. The cohesion policy is just to address the disparities between
the countries,
within the countries and among countries. And this is where Romania is still missing a solid capacity.
Where do you think Portugal would have been if was not accessing these funds?
Oh, in the 80s for sure. As you know, the public investment in Portugal, it's 70% of the public investment depends from the European Union. So we really need the European Union. Of course, we have some difference in some regions, but when I look to my country in the 70s and in the 80s, it's very different now. And people, it's my best proud of being Portuguese, that we really feel proud of being European. And that is a message that I would like to say today. Because if you don't feel part of this family, it will be much more difficult in all point of views. In case of Madeira, because as you know, Madeira, we have a government from my region. All the community in general, we are 450,000 people, 250,000 people, we really feel European. And in the Açores too, it is another most region, because we have another problems that you don't have. You have highlands in Portugal, so you have to pay for it, as I used to say. And of course, we need much more help. For example, in the case of transports, for Madeira, it's very expensive. Everything is much more expensive. Food, if you want to go to some specialist hospitals, you have to pay for it. For you to have an idea, to go to Madeira to Lisbon, you pay something like 300 euros by plane. So it's too much by public transportation. So that's problems that we have in another point of view.
It's another level.
Yeah, but it's very difficult now to solve that problem. I hope that the European Union will help on it. As you know, there is no subsidy for transports in Europe. But we expect that European Union understand that what is different should be treated like difference. We are all equals, but in our difference. In our case, as I told you, I remember when I was a student, when I was a PhD student, if there was not European Union, I could not study, because I went to Austria to study. So that means that people who are in the European Union should understand the importance of Europe in their lives, and sometimes they don't understand it. They should love much more.
It's not the case of Romania. We are one of the countries that consider that being part of the European Union is one of the best things that happened in the recent period. But with all these, we don't do much thing at the governmental level or at the whatever level you want to be more European, to be more in the European Union, to be more, let's say, close to the other citizens of the European Union.
Sabina, I think that politically Romania and the Romanians are among the most pro-Europeans, the most Euro-optimistics. And this is good. It's amazingly important. In the same time, what it's missing, the way we win the benefits of being part of the European project, of being part of the European Union, and to benefit from the cohesion money like others did. And before going to Portugal, which is in the other corner of Europe and of Latinity, and this is why Romania and Portugal are so close, including the language, go to Poland and to see where there is a strategical vision of over the future of your country and where there are strong institutions.
600 or 900 kilometers of highways,
yes, indeed,
they made with the help of the European
communist past. I dare to say a much older approach on the administration, public administration, the Soviet style in Poland, not the one in Romania, which was entirely inspired by the French approach. And yet Poland is today the first in his class. Poland is now innovating conceptually on the cohesion policy, and it's implementing in an extraordinary manner, including the way to emerge cohesion funds with Juncker's strategic investment funds. This is where we should have the modesty and honesty to learn from others. And this is actually where a poor public administration from the government level to the local level can make the negative difference between us and others.
Let me tell you something sincerely today. I've enjoyed the Portugal lesson coming from a professor from Portugal. Maybe together we will understand how important it is to look, as you said, to the good examples, to the countries that have managed to develop through these years with the help of the European funds. Thank you so much for your presence and for the lesson. Thank you so much also for explaining the situation of Romania in these European concepts, let's say. Thank you so much for your presence.